Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to give it a second for folks to join. But welcome to our Start U of G session about course selection. I'm Janessa, and I'm part of the START team who helps you get ready for your fall 2026 semester. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Before we dive into things, I just want to remind folks that this is a session for students starting in the Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Science program. This program is unique and separate from the Bachelor of Science degree, and it's commonly referred to using the acronym on the screen. So B.SC and then in brackets AGR. So if this is not your program, you can find our course selection schedule with all the links for each degree on our Start U of G page. My colleague Christina is going to post that link in the Q&A in case you're in the wrong session. Our agenda for today includes a land acknowledgement. We'll review some academic advising at the University of Guelph, and your academic advisor is here to chat with you about some of the big summer tasks that you need to do for course selection. We'll go over course selection, some common terms that you need to know, our registration guide for new students, an overview of how to use WebAdvisor, the platform where you'll be registering for your courses. And then we'll have some information for transfer students and international students. We'll also be going over a lot of frequently asked questions. In the Teams meeting itself, you can use the Q&A feature to ask questions. My colleague Christina will be replying to questions in the chat, and then we'll also be chatting with August about some of those questions that are coming up that we need some expertise for. Just as a reminder, please don't put your personal information into the Q&A, so that includes your student number, your email, information like that. You're always welcome to email start@universityofguelph.ca or start@uoguelph.ca with any questions that you have where you might need to tell us some of those bits of personal information. And we'll make sure that you get connected with the person who can answer. I would like to take a moment just to acknowledge the land on which we gather. Today, I'm on campus in our student experience office, and the University of Guelph resides on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We recognize that today it is a gathering place and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and acknowledging them reminds us of our relationship to this land where we all learn and grow. As someone who will be coming to the University of Guelph as a new Griffin, it's important that you understand the importance of land acknowledgements and why we do them. You can also take some time to learn about the lands that you are on today if you are across the province of Ontario or Canada, to learn a little bit more about the communities on your land. You can view the land acknowledgement on our website, and Christina will be putting that link in the chat. Like I said before, my name is Janessa. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the coordinator of student transitions and engagement here at the University of Guelph. I'm part of the student experience team, and I work with a team of 5 student staff, as well as some other colleagues to help you through your transition and first year at the University of Guelph. I'm also going to bring up my colleague, Christina. Christina, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Eisenbach. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Acting Leadership Education and Development Advisor. So I also work with the Student Experience Department. I work really closely with Janessa and the START team, and I am here to help you again through your transition to U of G, through orientation week, and with your engagement even beyond that time. Thanks, Janessa.
Thank you. And if you ever have questions, you can always email the START team. Our email address is on the screen, and myself and my team are the ones responding to that email. I'm going to bring up August from our academic advising team. Over to you.
Thank you, Janessa and Christina. Hi, everybody. My name's August Gaynor. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the academic advising assistant for the Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Sciences. I work on the team with the rest of the academic advisors who help to support incoming Bachelor of Science agriculture students with a lot of your academic transition to the University of Guelph. I'm super accessible. I work out of the office in Johnston Hall. The room is 133A. When you come to campus, you'll probably become familiar with Johnston Hall if you're swinging by for quick inquiries, and it also gets used on a lot of the advertising material for the University of Guelph. It's the big clock tower. So that is actually, if you enter through those doors, that is where you can find me and the rest of my colleagues to help you with your academic transition. A little bit about me is I'm a University of Guelph alumni myself, and I'm always learning. So I really like to identify birds, do baking, and do lots of bike repairs. So if you have questions, either after the session today or as you move through your degree program, you can always reach me at oac.pco@uoguelph.ca. And we just ask that you email using your University of Guelph email address, just as I mentioned, to keep some of that information you're going to be sharing, whether it's your student number or details about your academics, safe for those purposes. All right, so what is academic advising at the University of Guelph, and why would you need to see an academic advisor? There are a lot of reasons why you might need to meet with an academic advisor during your undergraduate studies. You might have program-related questions about some of the different majors and what your options are academically as you move through your degree. You might have questions about different program requirements, graduation requirements, but those are all things that you will learn and that you will have natural opportunities to ask about as you move through your degree. The great news is there's nothing really to prepare for in your first year when it comes to meetings. All of your first year courses are going to be set out for you. And when you're moving forward in the future, you can use the WebAdvisor website to plan out your major once you decide it. That's going to be in your second year. So for now, we're really just going to be walking through what your first year courses are, and then some of the basics of course selection, like Janessa mentioned. When you do choose your major, there's also going to be faculty advisor contacts that you can get in touch with. Each major within the Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Sciences has a faculty advisor, and you'll have an opportunity to meet all of them and learn more about those majors when we host our information session in early winter. So something to think about now, but not necessarily something to decide until later. All right, so for course selection tips, we always recommend that you plan ahead. Right now, the schedule for your fall 26 and winter 27 semester is live and available online. So you can log into WebAdvisor now, and you can start to see not only the courses that are going to be offered, but the sections that are going to be offered. So different courses sometimes have a lot of different sections because there's bigger sizes, or they might have labs. So really, you're just working on planning a schedule right now that works for you. We also suggest that you get ready with your second choices, because if there are a lot of sections, sometimes people will choose certain sections and then they can fill up. Your window for course selection is going to open at 8 a.m. this year. So be up, ready, have your courses planned, and do all of that hopefully before 8 a.m. on the day, which is going to be Friday, July 10th. The longer that you leave course selection, the fewer sections might still be available. So that's why we recommend just getting a head start if possible. And also know that you might not get all 4 of your courses for each semester in one swoop. Selection does go until Friday, September 18th, which is the last day to add fall 2026 courses. So we recommend that you get started when your window opens, but you'll have time to switch sections and work out some of those finer details, at least for your fall semester, until Friday, September 18th. So I did just share a lot of course selection terms, but here we get to really break them down and look at what some of those things mean. So the course selection windows are when you can register for courses based on your degree program. So you're going to see, if you open up the course selection windows website, that course selection actually begins for other students at the University of Guelph earlier than it will for you. Students who are coming to the university are the last ones to select courses, but we use things called restrictions to hold space in courses for students. So don't panic if you see that courses are available and space is filling up in courses once you plan them. Usually that would just mean you will switch to another section and find space somewhere else. But pay attention to when your window opens. That's when you're going to be able to select the courses that you've planned. Courses are typically worth 0.5 credits or 1 full credit. And pay attention to this as well, because in your first year, you're going to have a 1 credit course, both in your fall semester and in your winter semester. And we just suggest that you pay close attention to which courses are going to be 1 semester so that, or sorry, are going to be 1 credit so that you can understand how your status is as a student. So for a part-time student, if you enroll in less than 1.5 credits, then you are considered a part-time student. If you are a full-time student, then you would be enrolled in 1.5 credits or more. However, if you're someone who's registered with Student Accessibility Services, then you might have a part-time course load set up as an accommodation, and then you could still be considered full-time. But that would be something that you would set up with Student Accessibility Services specifically. And then there's, last but not least, electives. You do have room in your degree program for electives, but you do not have any electives planned in your first year. So this will be something that you'll start to plan into your degree program later in your degree, once you're looking at maybe declaring your major or declaring a minor in your degree program. So next, we have the undergraduate calendar. This is essentially the rules that govern the university and govern your time here as a student. It also offers information on different programs, degree program requirements, and a full list of all of the courses that the university offers that are organized really neatly by subject. So if you're looking for electives or if you're trying to plan out your major or your minor later, you'd be able to find that information in the undergraduate calendar. There are calendars for each academic year. So every year that you start in a different academic calendar. Your class will be following the 2026-2027 calendar for your requirements. So just pay attention to that. It can be possible to change your academic year if you want to redeclare a major or things like that. But for now, that is the one that you're following. So keep an eye out for the 2026 to 2027 one. And then there's also the schedule of dates. This is all of the important dates that are going to help you navigate your semester. So I've mentioned before that Friday, September 18th is the last day to add fall 26 classes. That's something that would be listed in the schedule of dates. That includes like maybe the last day to drop classes, the days that reading week are going to happen, days when you should have a certain amount of your grade back from your instructor. Really important dates that will help you to figure out what your responsibilities are as a student and help you to plan accordingly. And then lastly, I've mentioned WebAdvisor, but this is a really great stop where you can select your courses, you can view your progress within your degree program. It's especially useful once you've declared your major in your second year, because then it will list out in detail all of the courses that are required for the major that you've chosen. And it will help you to figure out how you can get from your current academic standing to eventually graduate from your degree. So It will also help you, I see, check your tuition bill and then eventually apply for graduation. So you're going to get very familiar with WebAdvisor throughout your time here, and there are a lot of great resources to help you figure out how to use it, but it will be something that you'll gain a lot of familiarity with because it has many useful functions for you. All right, now we're going to jump into the registration guide for new students. I've put a big QR code on the screen for anybody who wants to scan it. And then once you've scanned this QR code, you might already have received the registration guide and explored it, but I did want to make it accessible just in case people haven't already taken a look at it. It includes a lot of details around what courses to select, how to find resources at the university, and a lot of really essential information that you need to get started. It also includes a list of all of the courses that we're going to anticipate that you register in for your first year. So I'm going to give you a moment to click through to that, and then afterwards we can I'm actually going to pause for a moment while you do that and see if there are any questions in the thread. I don't see any questions yet, so that's great. What we'll do is we'll just continue on to the next slide. Here we go. So this is if you clicked through to program information and then you clicked through to the BSc AGR program, this is what would pop up on your screen. These are the courses you're going to be required to take in your first year if you want to take a full-time course load and if you want to progress through the degree in a 4-year fashion. Typically, this is what we recommend, but again, if you're taking a part-time course load or any of that, then please just email us and we'd be happy to advise on what a revised course load could look like for you. But anyways, the first course that is listed here is for the fall semester. This is AGR 1110, Introduction to the Agri-Food Systems. This is worth 1 full credit. So that means that you take the entire course in the fall semester, but it's double weighted. So you can expect in this course to do more readings, to spend more time on the course, and then it will have a double weight when it shows up on your transcript. So the grade that you get in this course is going to be double weighted on your transcript, essentially. Next, we have Biology 1050. This is biology of plants and animals in managed ecosystems. If you do not have high school biology or 4U biology, please just connect with us. We'd be happy to have a conversation about what materials covered in this course and how you can prepare yourself for success in this course. Again, my email that you can reach me at for that conversation is oac.pco@uoguelph.ca. I'm always happy to chat, and it's good to have a conversation about something like that if you find that you don't have the prerequisites before you jump into that fall course. Next, we have Math 1080, which is Elements of Calculus. And then we have another course where it's the one that you register for is based on which prerequisites you're coming into the university with. So if you do not have a grade 12 or a 4U chemistry, then you would register in Chem 1060, Introductory Chemistry. And this is only offered in DE or distance education format. So what that means is the course is going to be hosted online. There won't be lectures. There won't be like a scheduled time that it will show up for you when you're planning your schedule. Really, you can take it as sort of at your own pace. There will still be deadlines within the course, but it's not going to have the same structure when it comes to lectures that an in-person class would. And then if you do have a grade 12 or a 4U chemistry, we would suggest that you enroll in Chem 1040, which is General Chemistry 1. That's all for your fall semester. And then next for your winter semester, you would be registering in AGR 1350, Animal Productions Systems and Industry, Dairy, Poultry, and Egg. This is another course that, this is like an agriculture course. So you have your two main agricultural courses in both semesters. And then next you have Biology 1090, Introduction to Molecular and Cellular Biology. Then you have another course where it's either or. If you took Chem 1060 in fall 2026, which means you did not come in with grade 12 or 4U chemistry, what you would be selecting in your winter semester is Chem 1040. But if you took Chem 1040 already in your fall semester, then you would register for Chem 1050 in your winter semester. And if you have questions about that and you want to connect, just send me an email. I'm happy to take a look at what you've planned and just give you like a great big thumbs up if that would be helpful for you. And then lastly, you have FAIR 1400, which is Economics of the Agri-Food System. And this is your second credit class that is going to be worth 1 full credit. So again, you're going to have more coursework and it's going to show up double weighted on your transcript. And then I just have the QR code lastly, if you didn't catch the registration guide before and you want to grab that now, but otherwise we'll be moving on. Great. So this is a little bit of an overview of WebAdvisor that we're going to be jumping into now. As I said, this is a place you're going to become very familiar with throughout your degree. You can select and register for courses here, track your academic progress, access financial statements, and more. What we are looking at on the screen is an example of what your WebAdvisor screen might look like when you're looking at tracking your academic progress. As you see at the top, it says Bachelor of Science, AGR, Agricultural Science. And then this is taken from a student who has already graduated and already completed all of the credits necessary for the program. So when you look at the total credits bar, you see 20 out of 20. Those are the 20 credits that if you're not in the co-op stream are required for this program. You're expected to complete all 20. And then once you've completed them, they're going to fall into all of the different categories that you're going to see listed on WebAdvisor. This student was a student who took honors agricultural science, which is one of the majors that we offer in the degree program, and that determined all of the courses that were required for them throughout their degree program. And we can also see their calendar was 2022. So again, your calendar is 2026 to 2027 because that's when you started, but it's going to be different based on when you declare your majors and things like that. So this is just a little bit of an overview. Feel free to click through to your WebAdvisor and start exploring that when you plan your first year courses. But again, all of your courses are going to be laid out for you in the first year. So this can be something that you also learn as you go. All right. To start planning courses for later years, I would also recommend looking at your schedule of studies. This is a different QR code from the one I shared earlier for the registration guide for new students. This one is specifically for the Bachelor of Science in Agriculture degree program as a whole. So this is just going to lay out all of the different, I think like courses that are going to be required for the different majors. You can explore the material that's covered in the different majors, and you can also look at what is required for co-op options. So if you are somebody who's really keen to explore those, this is a way for you to get connected with that resource and start today or start before the fall semester if you'd like. But yeah. So this is a link that we are going to share if you want to get a little bit deeper into how to create a plan on WebAdvisor for your courses. We're not going to play the video today, but this is something that you can explore on your own time. WebAdvisor allows you to plan using the schedule once it's been posted. The schedule has been posted this year for the fall 26 and winter 27 semesters. What you will be able to do is go online and start to plan out the courses that you need to take using what we listed in the registration guide for new students. But specifically, you can look at what time different courses are going to be offered in sections. So if you want to take biology and it's offered on a Monday, and then it's also maybe offered on a Tuesday, you get to choose what day you want to take it on within the constraints of when it's going to be offered. So just try to create a schedule that works for you and that feels balanced for you, and you can do that using the WebAdvisor tool. And this is a video on how to register for courses, which is the next step that you would take after you've planned out your courses. Registering for courses is what you're going to do on the day that your course selection window opens. So just make sure that once you've planned your courses, you come back on the day that your window opens and you're ready to register for them. Like I said, just be mindful that because you're going to be selecting last, we do sometimes place restrictions on courses to make sure that there's room left in them. If it's a first year course and we know for sure that first year students are going to be required to take that. But if you find that maybe a section you chose during your planning stage no longer has room, be mindful of what some backups might be and be ready to register for a backup section of one of those required courses. And this will give you a big, full tour of how to do that. All right, this is course selection for transfer students. Please connect with us. We would be happy to talk to you about what transfer credits you have been granted or might have been granted from your transfer institution, and your registration date might also be different because the course selection window is determined by the amount of credits that you have attempted or that you are in progress of completing. So this might be different from another student who's coming in without any credits, because if you've completed credits, if you have those transfer credits, you want to be ready and you want to be planned on the day that your window opens. So just check with us and we'd be happy to help you make a plan before that date. Also, there might be ways that your transfer credits could count towards your program requirements. So if you check with us beforehand, we can just help to make sure that you're registering for courses that are going to help you progress in your degree really efficiently. But again, there's a Start U of G website tour on course selection specifically for transfer students. So please visit that. There are tons of resources for you, and also connect with us. If you are someone who is coming in from high school with transfer credits, these are some of the things you might be eligible to receive transfer credit for. There's IBHL courses with a final grade of 5 or better. There's AP exams with a minimum final grade of 4. There's advanced level British subjects with a final grade of C or better, and CAPE Unit 2 subjects with grades of 1, 2, or 3. And please note that these will be considered for transfer credit once we receive your final scores. Again, helpful QR code, you can scan that list and just reach out to us if you believe that you have transfer credits, or if you hear from admissions services that you've been granted transfer credits. Next, we have course selection information for international students. So we have incredible global pre-arrival services advisors. You can connect with them at gpsadvisor@uoguelph.ca. And just keep in mind that if you register as a part-time student, take an unauthorized leave, or are completing more than 50% of your program online, these things might impact some of your statuses. So it might impact your student status, it might impact on or off campus work eligibility, and it might also impact your post-graduation work permit eligibility. The GPS advisors are great connections for you as you try to navigate and figure out any of those changes if they do come up, and you can book a QR code appointment with them just by scanning on the screen. So you have that resource available to you, and please connect with these advisors before you make any major decisions. They're there to help you. So here we come to some important dates. What I would like to note is that the dates are now available. So June 15th was the undergraduate registration deposit and international undergraduate deposit date. It is due already. So what we would suggest is that if you have not paid it, please go and pay it. If you do not pay this undergraduate deposit, then you will not be allowed to register for courses when your window opens. It is $500, and you can do this by going onto your WebAdvisor account and paying the deposit. It's just a payment towards the university, the same way that you would pay for tuition. Please note that it does not show up as an account owing. So you won't click onto your financial page and see that there's an amount of $500 owing. What you pay for the registration deposit will simply go towards your undergraduate tuition fees. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you pay that before your course window opens. And then next, we have July 10th at 8 a.m., which is the day that your course selection window is going to open if you have 0 credits. Transfer students, your window might be different, as I mentioned earlier, so just connect with us to determine when that is. And then in late July, your semester bill is going to be posted on WebAdvisor. And then by September 18th, that is the fall semester payment. And that is the day when you're going to be expected to have paid your tuition by. That's also the last day for you to add fall 26 classes. All right, so I'm going to take a look at the chat before we move on to some frequently asked questions. Christina's doing a great job of posting links. There are no questions right now, I don't think, which is wonderful. I would love if you do have questions and you haven't posted it yet, please feel free to post a question. We're here to help. But if there's truly nothing that you have to ask, we're just going to jump into these. Okay, so how many credits should I take a semester? It really does depend on how many credits you're planning to take. So the general amount that is recommended for your schedule of studies is 2.5 credits per semester. That is full-time status, and that is what is planned out in the Bachelor of Science in Agriculture degree program plan. But if you take anywhere between 2.5 and 1.5 credits, you will still be considered a full-time student. It's just a matter of determining whether dropping below full-time status, so that 1.5 credit mark, will impact things like if you're an international student, it can impact all of those statuses that we talked about. If you are receiving OSAP, it can also impact the amount of OSAP funding that you're receiving. And if you're receiving other things like general scholarship funding, or if you are a student in sports, it can also impact just a number of different statuses that you might have. So just check with admission services before you drop down if you're somebody who is receiving financial support based on your student status. Okay.
August, we have a couple of questions that have come in just since the last slide. The first
Wonderful.
one from Nicole, how would one go about dropping a co-op program?
Absolutely. So if you are starting at University of Guelph in the co-op program, you are able to drop the co-op program in your first semester if you choose not to continue with it. There is a form. Let me just pull up the form. All you would need to do is fill out the co-op drop form. And typically, co-op requires that you drop before a certain number of class days have passed. Let me just pull up this form for you. Perfect. So this is going to be shared. I can see that I can reply to your comment, so I'm going to paste this link for you. And then if anybody else wants to access the form, is it going to show publicly when I answer this question? Will anybody be able to see the link?
I believe so, August. I think so.
Perfect. Okay. Great. So what I've done is I've just shared the co-op withdrawal form, and usually they recommend that you drop co-op before the 15th class day if you want to avoid being like I think charged for that semester. So the 15th class day is going to be in the month of September. So you have time to think over that during the summer. If it's something that you're already sure about, then you can submit that form to co-op. The form is going to be submitted to co-op, C-O-O-P, admin at uoguelph.ca. But that email is also listed on the form that I just shared the link to. So that's how you would drop co-op. But if you are still thinking it over and you want to chat with somebody before you make that decision, that's also something that academic advisors are more than happy to chat about, because there are certain job opportunities that you can get through co-op that might be beneficial to you if you decide that co-op is something you want to pursue.
All right, thank you. And we have another one from Ella. Does WebAdvisor send an email if something is posted? I'm assuming probably meaning if a particular course is posted.
So Ella, thank you for asking. WebAdvisor does not send an email if courses are posted. If you are trying to figure out when you can select your courses, you would figure that out through the course selection windows. And then if you're trying to figure out whether space is opening up in a specific course, then I would suggest just scrolling through WebAdvisor itself and looking at the different sections that are available that way. If you have a follow-up question, please feel free to ask it. I'd be happy to answer that as well.
There's another question that was put in a comment, so I just want to make sure we don't miss that one. It was, how do I select my course and can I change it later on?
Absolutely. So if you want to plan your courses, that would be something that you're able to do today. Sorry, I was just seeing the follow-up comment by Christina. Thank you, Christina. So if you want to plan your courses, that's something you're able to do starting today. You would log on to WebAdvisor and you would use the registration guide to determine the courses you want to take in your first semester that are required for your program. And then you can change your courses later on. If you want to change the sections that you're registered for, you would be able to do that also on WebAdvisor simply by dropping one of the sections and registering in another section. You can only register in one of each course, so you can't be registered in, for example, Chem 1050 twice in one semester. So you will be required to drop one section in order to add another section, but if there's room in those sections, you should be fine to do that. And then you'll be able to change the courses that you're registered in. You can add or switch sections until the last day to add courses for fall 26, which is September 18th.
And we do have a follow-up from Ella, I think just clarifying her question about does WebAdvisor send an email if something is posted? It sounds like they're actually meaning, are there notifications for things like reminders to pay your tuition or sort of date
Absolutely.
reminders or yeah.
Okay. So for tuition payment, you will get emails that are saying, hey, this is the deadline for when your tuition payment is due. I believe that that's something that's included in Start UO Guelph emails as well. So you're going to be getting multiple emails reminding you exactly when your tuition is due and also reminding you about some of those key dates, like the last day to add classes, the last day to pay your fees, all of that. So yes, it will be in your email and you'll be able to go back and reference that. And also your fees will be posted on your account based on what you've registered in late July. So even then, if you go to the finances tab on WebAdvisor, you'll be able to click through and see, oh, I registered in my 4 courses for the fall, my 4 courses for the winter. This is how much my tuition is going to cost me. So you'll have it accessible to you at that point and it will be posted to your account.
And that looks to be all of our questions for the moment.
Wonderful. I do want to circle back to one thing that I don't think I had a chance to touch on during this session yet, and that is wait lists. So although you are first year students and typically we try to set aside room in classes for you with first year restrictions. There might be, oh, perfect. This is the next question. So this is what I'm already answering. What if a required course says full? It would be full if, so say there's like room for 20 students in a class, and then 20 students register for that class, then it would move to being waitlisted, which basically means that the course is at capacity for registration at that point. And if you waitlist for the course, you say, I want to register in this course for like Chem 1050 on Tuesday at 3. But if somebody doesn't drop the course, then I won't be able to move into the course because there's only 20 spaces. So what you can do is you can waitlist for a section that you want to take, but what we do recommend is trying to see if there are other sections, so other times that that class is going to be offered that still have space in them, and then registering for those. There's going to be a lot of movement in sections before the class start in September. And there can be preferences around like when you want to take certain courses, but what we're going to be focusing on as an office is making sure that you have a working schedule. So making sure you're in all of the courses that are required for you to progress through your degree. And some people might be able to take a course at 3 p.m. and then other people will take the course at 2 p.m. the next day. So you can waitlist yourself for a course, but if you're waiting on a waitlist for a course, we would also really just recommend go and see if there are other sections that work for your schedule and register in those if there's still room. Because first year restrictions are also something that only get held until a certain point in the summer. And then once that time passes, other students who are in upper years might be able to register in those courses. So we hold the space for first year students, but we don't hold space for students the entire time. So I think that that date hasn't been posted yet as far as I know, but it's not something that is necessarily a guarantee that that space is going to be held the whole summer. So please just try to register for courses that have space and then move from there and reach out if you have questions. So why is a course restricted? I've already talked a little bit about this. Some courses are restricted with first year restrictions, which essentially means only first year students can register in them. That's often defined as students who have 0.0 credits or like below a threshold like that. So a course that has a first year restriction is something that students who are just coming in freshly to the university and don't have any transfer credits would be able to register in up until that first year restriction does or does not get lifted. There are also other courses that might be restricted to certain degree programs, and courses would be restricted like that to make sure that students who are required to take those courses can take those courses. We want to make sure that all of the students who are like you in the Bachelor of Science in Agriculture can take a course like AGR 1110. So that's an example of a course that's restricted to students in your degree program or students who are taking the minor and need to take that for their minor requirements. But that's just one of the ways that the university tries to organize course selection. And sometimes courses are restricted for a certain amount of time and then get lifted, but that's not always the case. So if you have a question about why a course in particular is restricted, that's definitely something you can connect with our office about in later years. But for the first year, most of the courses you're taking are already going to be restricted for you to be able to take them. And it's just some of those other courses like your chem courses, your biology courses that are going to be taken by a lot of different students. So it won't be restricted to the Bachelor of Science in Agriculture program, but might have like a first year restriction on them because a lot of first year students take those courses. Let's see if there are any more questions before I move on.
We have two August. We have one from Athena. Am I able to start taking prerequisite courses for a program I'm hoping to apply to in my second year? And if so, how many can I take per semester?
That's a good question, Athena. So I think it is really dependent on the program that you're hoping to apply for in your second year. We do have a process at the university that is something called an internal transfer, but it does require you to have already completed 2 credits at least in one of our programs in order to transfer to another program at the university. And some programs also will have very strict progressions that would mean if you take first year courses that you're allowed to take while registered as a Bachelor of Science agriculture student, they might not count directly towards the program that you're hoping to apply for. Like I said, some courses are restricted for certain programs. So if the program that you want to apply for has a lot of restrictions on its programs, you might not be allowed to register for those courses if you're not counted as a student in those programs. So it can get pretty complicated. Uh, I'd be happy if you wanted to connect with our office. We'd be happy to figure out what program it is that you're hoping to apply for, and then chat with you about either connecting with the advising office that would help to understand the requirements for those programs, or also connecting with an admissions counselor if you'd like to do something like deferring your offer of admission to this program, if what you really want is to eventually get into that secondary program. So I hope that that helped to answer your question. It's quite a complicated question, but it's something that we see quite a lot of students do at the same time. It's just dependent on what the program is that you want to get into after this. Actually, there's a second part to your question, which is how many courses can you take per semester? I think that that is also dependent on how many courses you would be able to get into for that program. The maximum amount of credits that students usually are able to register in is 2.75 per semester. So if you're able to register in all of those courses for the other program, it's something you theoretically could do, but if it's a very competitive program and you haven't been admitted into it yet, there's still a risk that would be taken if you register for courses in another program before you get admitted into it, because we don't make the admissions decision. So we can't guarantee that it wouldn't add time onto your program or that you'd be able to get in the semester that you wanted to get in.
Thank you, August. And we have one more from Johan. Sorry if this has already been asked, but when can I register for courses if my program is co-op?
Your window, Johan, is going to be the same as other students who are non-co-op. If you're coming into the University of Guelph and you don't have any other transfer credits, then your window is going to be the day that students with 0.0 credits are registering. So that's going to be July 10th. And co-op is something that you're going to start to register in courses for in your first year. What you would be doing differently is you would be registering in your co-op 1100 course. You'd be registering for that in the fall. I'm just pulling up the program information page. Yes. So it would be at the same time as other students in your degree program.
Excellent. That's everybody for now. No, we can go ahead. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll pass it back off to Janessa then. You might be muted still.
Yep. Thank you.
Of
It
course.
looks like we got through all of the questions for today. We will be posting the recording of this session on our Start U of G website, and you'll be getting weekly emails from the Start team with reminders, links to recordings, links to sign up for sessions like this one. So keep an eye out for that. We're really excited for you to take this next step in registering for your courses. So thank you so much for attending today, and we'll see you again. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye. And